Hey guys, welcome into another edition of the Coach's Corner Show presented by PES and Martin Methodist College. We're coming to you live from Sam Davis Park, where we're with Giles County head football coach Walt Smith. Wade Neely, so glad to be with you guys this week. Coach, you guys traveled up to the great unknown, if you will, last week. Went up to all the way up to the Kentucky border, took on Kenwood. Cats suffered a 32-22 defeat. But it was a game in which the Cats really kind of ebbed and flowed. A lot of positives. There were some negatives, but there were quite a few positives in the loss last week.
Yeah, I thought the second, third, and fourth quarters, I felt like we played like we can play as a team. We had some mistakes in the fourth quarter that kind of hurt us late, but first quarter we kind of laid an egg and didn't really come out ready to play, and they got jumped on us 12-0, and I felt like that was the difference in the ball game.
They jumped on you guys early. Was the long trip maybe to blame, or what was the deal? The Cats looked a little lifeless in that first quarter.
They did. I don't know if it was the longer drive. The weather was bad. Of course, it was both bad on both sides, and that's kind of what we talked about when we got them over there at the end of the first quarter. Our guys were talking about the ball being slick and things like that, and it's slick for both sides. You just got to adjust and adapt to the adversity. And first quarter they handled it a little bit better than we did, and after that I felt like we kind of settled in and played really well.
It seemed like the second quarter things just absolutely turned on a dime. What did you say to your team, or did you say anything to kind of get that spark back? Because you guys were fantastic in quarter number two.
Well, we just told them, that we didn't come all the way up here to lay down. It was going to rain on both sides, and then we put the ball in Jordan's hands, moved him back to quarterback, and kind of went into our heavy set, and they weren't ready for it. Against that defense, if you can get two tight ends and get downhill, you can knock them off the ball a little bit, and I felt like that's what we did in the second quarter.
Yeah, you guys made that switch. Jordan Tucker, he runs hard anyway, but you factor in the fact that he can maybe hand off to Arkell Reed, who we'll talk a bit about a little bit later, but it seems like Jordan was really kind of operating the offense quite well in that at quarterback, quote-unquote, position.
He did. We worked on that this week in practice. Again, just a different way to get him the ball. We've got to find ways. He's definitely needs the ball as much as he can get it. Friday night, he had 37 times, 36 carries, and 1 catch, and we're just going to continue to do that more and more, but it's also good to have Arkell back there where he can take some of the pressure off of him.
The Cats started Gray Weiser at quarterback. Is that going to be the starting QB going forward, or might we see Jordan kind of quote unquote take over the quarterback role a little bit more this
well
year?
we're gonna do a lot of that. We call it the Bobcat package. Gray's still going to be the quarterback, but we are going to see Jordan back there a lot just because again, he gives us it gives us really versatile, makes us really versatile back there running the football. But Gray's still going to get some snaps, and we're still going to throw the football. The weather Friday kind of played more into Jordan being back there than Gray, and I thought he did a good job coming in doing it.
Let's talk second half. The Cats got the ball. You guys marched down the field, had to settle for a field goal. How tough of a decision was it to maybe kick that field goal? It came up just short.
It was. We had it 4th and 1, and we're going to go for it, and we had a snap infraction, I think is what they ended up calling. We didn't think anybody moved. They said we false started. We couldn't find anybody move. We got a 5-yard penalty back there, which was crucial. And we felt like from there, Griffin felt like he could kick it and just kind of hit the ground before he hit the ball, and didn't get all the kick when it come up short. But defense held really good right there, and then they forced a punt. We got the ball back, and then we had a turnover. Jordan, bad snap. That was a kind of a theme Friday night. We had several bad snaps, and I know the ball was wet, but like we talked about, the ball was wet for both sides, and they did a little bit better job handling the adversity than we did.
And then Kenwood kind of starts to take over. Cats never gave up, though. You had a chance late in the game, scored a late touchdown, good pass from Gray Weiser to Peyton Hall to kind of get you guys in scoring position.
Yeah, got down there. They went up by 10. We got down there and cut it back to 3, and with about 2:50 left in the game, we were trying to decide whether to onside kick it or kick it deep and play, and we had all 3 timeouts, and really they had only moved the ball since the first quarter. They had only had one big run that they broke that scored the touchdown, and other than that we felt like we had them in check, so we decided to kick it deep. Didn't quite kick it as deep as we wanted to there, but still got pretty good field position and just weren't able to make the stop.
They were able to run out the clock at that point. Let's shift gears now. Let's talk about some takeaways from the game. We mentioned Arkell Reed. He was your offensive player of the week. He was running hard. I believe a career high 150-plus yards for him last week.
Had 16 carries, 152 yards. Arkell did a great job. We knew he could run the football. It's just he was behind one of the best guys in the state with Jordan. So I felt that was the other reason we felt like we needed to get both of them in the backfield to get them both going a little bit, because Arkell's got some things that can really help us on offense. He's helped us all year on defense, and we've got to utilize his talents more on offense.
I was going to say, now that you've seen what he can do, maybe going to incorporate him even further in this offense?
Yeah, we're obviously going to keep the package with Jordan back there at quarterback and him at tailback, and then we're also going to put a few wrinkles in where we use Arkell and Jordan both at wide receiver just to try to get them the ball a little bit more.
As the game continued, we had an injury to another running back in Cliff Garner. Are you guys prepared to give maybe an update on that? Or?
He went to the doctor this morning, got the MRI. We won't get those results until Wednesday. Preliminary results is at least a sprained MCL and ACL. We're hoping it is just a sprain to possibly get him back later in the year, but it could be a tear. We don't know yet. We'll wait on the MRIs to see that.
We'll talk with the offensive coordinator, Rip Flippo, a little bit later, but passing game, we knew it was going to be limited because of the weather. How severely were you guys limited in terms of the playbook last week?
Well, the first half it was a driving rain, and with Gray, he's got smaller hands, just not physically as mature as some of the older guys. It did limit us the first half, and that's kind of when we made the change. Mm-hmm. Second half, we come out and it was wet, but it wasn't too bad, and we were able to do a few things. He hit Peyton on the seam, hit Tanner on a little slant. I thought we had the screen set up pretty well, and they did a good job reading it and kind of set on it right there, and he didn't see the guy and threw it to him, and that was, that was a big play in the game. But Gray's going to be a guy that's going to get better. I'm not going to throw him out just because Friday night was a rough night. He started out rough with the wall, bad snaps and things like that, and but he's going to get some snaps still because we think he can do some things to make us more explosive on offense.
Switching gears now, let's talk defense. Seems like Tanner Holly and Boone Gibson, we called their names a lot in the game. Seems like your linebackers were making a lot of the tackles. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Well, that's how you want it. I mean, again, they're usually your better players. We're going to, they run to the football well, and they did make some tackles. Anytime they get in the secondary, obviously you don't want your secondary making a lot of tackles. But D-line, we do need a few more tackles from our D-line. Felt like they held the line pretty good Friday night, but didn't get off and make a few plays, and we got to have a better job of that. But Boone and Tanner did a great job Friday night. Going to make a few things. We moved Wesley outside last week. I think we're going to move him back inside. He feels a little bit more at home inside. And got C.J. Bryant, the freshman, got a few snaps on defense Friday night, and I thought he did a real good job. Secondary,
let's talk quickly. Again, there weren't a lot of passes. How did the secondary grade out last week?
Overall, not terrible. We've got to get our checks. We missed a couple of checks and got outnumbered at a couple times, and they were able to get to the edge on a couple of their big runs. We didn't get rolled down like we were supposed to. Got to do a better job of that, and then always just a better job tackling. We can never do. You can always get better tackling.
Finally, Griffin Birdsong, pretty good night. Maybe not necessarily kicking the field goal. He missed the one, of course, but extra points look solid, kickoffs look solid, and punting, which turned out to be a huge kind of factor in the game given the weather. He was pretty solid in all three of those phases.
Yeah, he was. I thought Nate did a lot better job this week. Snaps, he worked hard all this week. He's not released to play for us. He's just released to snap and cover kicks for us. Because he's still working on his labrum, but I thought the snaps were better, and Griffin did a great job flipping the field several times on punts.
So we'll talk more about next week coming up here in just a moment, but a good recap of what happened last Friday. Cats did suffer a 32-22 loss to Kenwood, but the good news is they're back in region play this Friday. We'll catch back up with head coach Walt Smith in our final segment, but first we're going to bring in offensive coordinator Rip Flippo. We'll go behind the scenes of the offense here for Giles County. It's coming up in segment number 2 on the Coach's Corner Show presented by PES and Martin Methodist College.
Hi, I'm David Alford from the TV show Nashville, and I'm here to tell you about my college. Since 1870, Martin Methodist has paved the path to success for thousands of graduates. Just an hour south of Nashville, you'll find an affordable private college participating in the Tennessee Promise with an educational program designed for you to graduate in 4 years. Come visit us and experience the difference. Experience an education that's personal.
Welcome back, folks. Second segment of the Coach's Corner Show presented by PES and Martin Methodist College. Wade Neely here. Offensive coordinator Rip Flippo there. Coach, welcome in. We're excited to have you here.
I appreciate that.
Coach, you're new to the Giles County program. This is an exciting time for you. The Cats are struggling, however, but we're excited to welcome in a new coach. What have you seen out of the Cats in your first couple of weeks here as far as installing your offense, if you will?
Well, what we're trying to do is just keep things simple that we can do. Right now, obviously, that's running the football. So we're trying to be, as good running the ball as we can. We've got a couple of good running backs. And then at the same time, we've got to try to develop a little bit of a passing game to take that pressure off of Jordan and Arkell so we can be more competitive and a little bit more variance with our offense.
Coach, let's talk about the how you got here to Giles County. I know you're familiar with Coach Walt Smith. This was kind of a late addition, and we were fortunate enough to have you come in at the kind of 11th hour. Kind of walk us through the process there.
Well, I'd been at Athens for 3 years. I was the offensive coordinator there, and sometimes you go to a place and it's just time to have a change. And I'd known Coach Smith for a while and kept up with his career, and in Giles County, just being from Lawrenceburg is my hometown, and it was just a chance for me to have a bit of a fresh start and work with some new kids, and so I was really excited about that.
So we were excited to have you. We were also excited when you kind of look at your resume. You've coached at some pretty solid places, not only at the high school levels. We've also got some collegiate experience on your resume here.
Mm-hmm. I have been very fortunate to know some of the people that I've met through the years in coaching, and I've coached every level of college football, 1A, 1AA, Division II. Mainly due to Bobby Wallace, the guy that I hooked on with at UNA, and then he went to Temple and hired me there, and just through some of his contacts there, and Hal Mummy, big influence on me throwing the football, and just meeting him through Coach Wallace, the GSC right there, and then he went to Kentucky. So and from there, Mike Leach and meeting some of those guys, Bobby Bentley down at Auburn right now, that's been pretty influential to me and helped me in my career.
You mentioned three guys right there that when I immediately think of throwing the football 60 to 70 times a game. The Cats are predominantly this year a running team, though. Is that something you want to kind of increase as the season and then next year goes along?
Well, one thing that I found about coaching in high school is you've got to play to your players. And right now, that's a run-heavy scheme. But as we go along, we want to develop that passing game. And Giles County's got, a quarterback tradition, and that's one thing that another thing is that I was excited about being here is being able to carry that on, build on that, and so yeah, absolutely. We definitely want to enhance our offense, be able to throw the ball, develop that. And that starts grassroots. We got to get into the junior highs and youth football and kind of change the mindset there and get some development there. But that takes a little bit. That doesn't happen overnight. And so I'm pretty excited about that. We've had some throwing sessions going there at the high school, working on some younger kids, junior high kids, and everything's been pretty exciting so far.
Let's talk about the quarterback, number 12, Gray Weiser. He's a freshman. Admittedly, he played wide receiver last year at Bridgeforth, but was a pretty good wide receiver. His athleticism is solid. How does he rate as a quarterback, and how have you seen him progress as the season's gone on?
Well, he's progressed, significantly since I've been here. He doesn't have a lot of experience. And nothing replaces game experience. Now, I was just talking with Coach Smith this morning, in JV games, he's completing about 73% of his passes. So he's coming along nice. Now, obviously, that's a different feel on Friday night. And so we're just trying to acclimate him in there, and hopefully he can give us a little bit of balance so we can just, keep our opponents from outnumbering us in the box and taking Jordan in our running game away.
You mentioned Jordan Tucker. How impressed are you with this kid, senior tailback for Giles County?
He's very impressive. And as far as guys, I've been coaching 22 years now. The running backs that I've coached, he's as good as anybody I've coached, really for two things. It takes more than one guy to tackle him. He's always falling forward when he gets tackled. And that's pretty unique. He doesn't have that burner speed where he just breaks out of the pack. But he's very hard to tackle, and he's shifty, and he's shiftier than you think. So he's very impressive to me as a runner.
He's solid, and we saw the kind of the renaissance, if you will, of Arkell Reed last week. He was our offensive player of the week. That's a solid little 1-2 punch in the backfield.
It is, and truthfully, probably something we should have been doing a little earlier. With Jordan being in that Bobcat package and Arkell back there, that kind of suits us right now. So Jordan gets most of the ink. Most of the defensive scheming, if you will. So Arkell, he's a good one. It's a good second option right there, and did a great job Friday night. The next thing is just getting that passing game in there a little bit. So, if we can keep people off of them from getting outnumbered, where we can handle them and block them, we'll start to improve.
The book on Coach Flippo, we mentioned passing the football, but also we've seen the Cats really rush to the line of scrimmage, try and get up tempo. Is that something you'd like to incorporate even more as the season goes along?
I want to play as fast as we can. My goal is 70, 72 plays a game. We ran 66 Friday night. From what I can tell, that really stresses the defensive line of our opponents. And not only that, it stresses the coaches. You know, when everybody's got to operate faster, you get more base looks, which makes it easier to run the ball on. So that's really what I try to do with that, is just play as fast as we can, as long as we don't make mistakes.
Right.
You know, if we're not jumping off sides, getting penalties. I think Friday night we had one holding call, and a couple of times where we jumped, I believe. But so far, so good with that. That's something we've really done the last couple of weeks. The players seem to really like it. And so, yeah, as long as we can, we'll keep trying to incorporate
We
that.
mentioned throwing the football. Let's talk about catching the football. Cats have got a pretty solid, even though the stats may not reflect it, they've got a pretty solid receiving core.
We do, and, you know, we need to keep developing that. One thing that we're struggling with right now, when you're trying to throw the football, there's several factors involved. The pass protection, what kind of routes you're running, obviously the quarterback play. We need more work polishing up our routes. You know, being able to kind of see coverage on the fly, knowing where the holes are in that coverage and getting there and really translating what we're doing practice-wise to Friday night. When you're not accustomed to that takes a little bit, just that, you know, getting that experience doing that. And that's really where we've been kind of lacking this year. But it's something, you know, we just work it every week till we get a little better at it.
4 games left in the season, 3 of which are going to be region games.
Right.
Let's talk about what you'd like to see from an offensive standpoint. What are your goals offensively here for the final 4 games of the season?
The goals is to win all our games, obviously. And, you know, we've got a good football team. We need to be confident, cut out our mistakes. You know, don't play 2 opponents a week, just play 1 opponent. And make a run at this thing. You know, when you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. You know, I've spent most of my career in high school coaching in Alabama. It's been about 10 years now, but Vince DiLorenzo at Gaston High School, they went 4-6 in the regular season. They won a state championship in 5A football. So, you know, just get in the dance. You know, if we can do that, then, you know, we got a chance. So as far as a goal, I want to get better every single week. I want to run more plays. I want to get more yards, obviously score more points.
All right, Coach Flippo, thank you for your time as always. Best of luck this Friday to the Bobcats here at the Brickyard.
Great, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. When we come back on the other side of this timeout, we'll bring back in head coach Walt Smith, and we'll preview a huge contest as the Raiders of Spring Hill High School come into Sam Davis Park this Friday. It all comes your way on the other side of this timeout on the Coach's Corner Show presented by PES and Martin Methodist College. Time now for another look at Martin Methodist College athletics. This week, the Martin Methodist men and women's soccer teams kick off Southern States Athletic Conference play when they travel to the University of Mobile and the William Carey University Crusaders in a Thursday-Saturday set of doubleheaders. Both contests are on the road, but you can find a full recap, photos, and results from this weekend's contest online at the official athletic home of Martin Methodist College, www.goredhawks.com. Once again, Martin Methodist College athletics online, www.goredhawks.com. Welcome back, gang. Final segment of the Coach's Corner Show presented by PES and Martin Methodist College. Wade Neely alongside Giles County head football coach Walt Smith. Coach, familiar opponent coming in this Friday and a familiar name and a familiar face. We'll talk a little bit more about the Spring Hill Raiders, but it's homecoming this week. The dreaded H word. Do you like the homecoming or not as a head coach here?
You know, it is what it is. Kids love it. They enjoy it. They dress up days at school and working on the floats and things like that. It's a necessary evil in high school and I guess anywhere, you know, getting caught up in it. Hopefully the kids won't be a distraction to the kids, but you know, again, it may be a good change up. Maybe it'll help us get ready more focused for Friday night and come out ready to play better.
It should be a good one. Spring Hill comes into this contest. They had a bye week. Both teams are Spring Hill's got 1 region win, Giles County with the 0, but both teams are desperately seeking a region win here tonight. This is one that's probably going to determine the final order in terms of the seeding this year.
Yeah, you know, we talked to the kids. The next 3 out of the next 4 games could decide. We could go anywhere from hosting a playoff game still to not making the playoffs at all. You know, again, that's what those three region games will decide throughout for everybody, I guess. But we still control our own destiny. I know it's hard to believe with the record we've got and the season we've had, but you know, everything leads up to this. You want to be playing as good as you can as during the stretch run, and hopefully Friday night we can fix a few of those mistakes, contain them on offense a little bit. They've got some big play guys over there, and just, you know, move the ball down the field and get the ball in the end zone and come out on top. To
say they've got some big play guys would be somewhat of an understatement. Their quarterback, Tyland Oden, he's a soft commit to the University of Louisville. We saw him last year run for a lot of yards against this Bobcat offense. He can throw a little bit, but, man, his legs are fantastic when he gets out in containment.
Yeah, he's been to a lot of camps this year trying to work on his throwing game, and they're going to try to throw the ball a little bit with him more than they have in the past. But his weapons are his legs, obviously. He's electric when he gets out in the open field. He's got another gear that most kids at this level don't have, and they've got a couple other guys with him. A Johnson kid plays DB. He's a lockdown corner, as good as anybody around, and plays wide out and running back for them this year also. And then Odin's little brother is pretty good as well.
Yeah, no doubt. In terms of explosiveness, I would say this may be one of the more explosive teams we're going to see on the schedule this year.
Well, they remind me a lot of Shelbyville up with their athletes. I think Shelbyville may have one or two more than they do, but no, I think Odin's as good as anybody we've played all year. With his electric speed and things like that, and I think the Johnson kid's right up there with him.
How big of an assignment, how big of a tough assignment is it, if you will, for Coach Scott Blair, the defensive coordinator, trying to contain this guy in the pocket this week?
It is. It's going to be tough. Last week we had a little bit of a spy for their quarterback and felt like we did a good job on him, and we're going to have to kind of do the same thing this week. At times, try to give him different looks, try to confuse him, and basically just keep guys between the tackles. I think if we can keep him in there and keep him from getting out on the edge, we can contain them the way we want to.
We've talked about receiving the football. In terms of when they put the ball on the ground, they're going to be running a spread formation. How are the Bobcats going to try and lock that down from a defensive line standpoint, maybe?
Well, they're actually multiple. They'll be in the shotgun a bunch, but then they've got a stack eye, two tight ends set that they like to run quite a bit, and they'll go under center and play action with Odin. They're going to run the football. Coach Trechetta is an old throwback guy that likes to run the football downhill, and that's what they're going to try to do.
You mentioned Tom Trechetta. The expectations were high for Spring Hill. Some folks predicted that they might win the region this year. Are you getting a sense of urgency from these guys maybe coming into this game here this week?
I think that they're not in the place we are, obviously, with their record, but I think we're similar spots. They're still trying to get over that hump and become one of the relevant teams, I guess you could say, and be that team that everybody thinks about every year. And we've been there for the past several years, and right now we're trying to get ourselves back to where we are up there in that top half of the region where we're hosting playoff games and things like that. And again, it's kind of helped us this year, that non-region schedule, as bad as it's looked for us, it doesn't count against you in the region play. So if we can just take care of business with region opponents, again, Friday nights, people go to comparing scores and things like that, but when you're dealing with 16, 17-year-old kids, every Friday night's a fresh start, and you never know how kids are going to react to different things. You never know whose girlfriend broke up with who or whatever on Thursday evening, and it makes a difference in high school football. And so hopefully we can get some positive things going for us and catch a few breaks Friday night and come out on top.
Yeah, no doubt. At the end of the day, these guys aren't professionals, let alone even college players. We're talking about high school kids. Let's talk about the Bobcat offense. How do they match up versus Spring Hill? We just spoke with Coach Flippo. He said he wants to get the tempo cranked up even more, but he does want to limit the mistakes.
Well, last year we felt like we did some things that hurt them both in the running game and the passing game, so we're going to go back to some of those. They're going to be very similar to what they were on defense last year. I think they're going to play a little bit more press man coverage than they have in the past. They'll go zero with no safeties, and again, it's kind of a high risk, high reward defense. They're going to be able to put more guys in the box, but we're not going to see any more guys in the box than we've seen Friday night. And we felt like that maybe was a good prelude to what we're going to see possibly on Friday with them. So we're going to come up with some sets to hopefully get Jordan Arkell popped up right through the middle without a safety back there, maybe break some long ones, and then just get one of those. We're going to have to win one of those, a couple of those one-on-one matchups outside and hit some big plays.
The big play, you just stole the word right out of my mouth. I would imagine it's a huge area of emphasis offensively, and then limiting it defensively if you guys are going to win Friday.
Yeah, it's kind of been what we've struggled with all year. Offensively, we haven't been able to be explosive enough, and defensively I felt like we've done a good job containing people, and then we just let them be explosive. They make some big plays on us Friday night. Kenwood did the same thing. We turned the ball over and boom, they hit us for a big play, and I think that was a turning point in the game right there. So we've got to do a good job limiting them, and then we've got to make one or two explosive plays on Friday.
Let's kind of close our preview here. Special teams, how big of an emphasis is this going to be on Friday? We saw Griffin Birdsong, fantastic job, kickoffs and punting last week.
It's the same as always. It's a third of the game, and it's a game that we can definitely have the advantage. Again, Oden's hard to match up with. It's hard for us to find somebody to match up with him player to player. But kicking game wise, it's kind of a neutralizer, and we ought to be able to use it to help neutralize some of that stuff like Oden's speed and things. Pin him down deep, play a field position game with him, and keep the ball out of their players' hands.
Biggest key to victory on homecoming here Friday night?
Big plays. Us making a few big plays and limiting theirs.
Good deal. Coach, as always, thanks for your time.
Thanks a lot.
Best of luck, and don't let the kids get too crazy this week during homecoming.
Looking forward to it, I guess.
Good deal. As always, thanks to head coach Walt Smith. That's all the time we've got on this edition of the Coach's Corner Show. Remember, Giles County is celebrating homecoming this Friday. We hope to see you here as the Bobcats take on Spring Hill. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m. at Sam Davis Park. For Bobcats head coach Walt Smith and offensive coordinator Rip Flippo, Wade Neely signing out. We'll see you Friday night. Thanks again for tuning in to another edition of the Coach's Corner Show presented by PES and Martin Methodist College.